A few days ago, a player named Cesta made the impossible. Play a Tortex deck and get a trophy with it. This 61 card beast is a toolbox deck whose main win conditions are Tortex Existence as a recursion enable and Basilisk Gate, pair up with a value package engine with core Sky Fisher. Other important cards are Sacred Cat as your premium attacker, City Wayfinder to search your gates and fill our graveyard, Golgari Brownscale for infinite creature synergy, and Spore Frog to preserve our life total. Check until the end to see how this monster of a deck got a trophy. And if you want to see more of these decks on the channel, remember to subscribe and give a like to the video. Without further ado, let's jump into the games. Our first match is against Blue-Red Fairies, a deck that is not popular anymore but still a solid tier 2 on the current meta. I start with a tap land and play another one and pass the turn. Opponent attacks and they either don't have a ninja to follow up or they want to hold off on a counterspell. Since they didn't, the plan was to pump it and attack, but former PT competitor pumped the fairy instead. Yeah.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Anyways, with our turn skip, my opponent proceeded to kill the imp, but it can come back to the top of our library, and now it also enables the angler, and even though the latter got countered, the opponent still needs to deal with the imp. I proceeded to attack on my turn, and this time I didn't make any mistakes and took my opponent down to 15. I will keep repeating this sequence as I force my opponent to find an answer for it without running into counter magic. Eventually they did, but once again, the imp got back from the graveyard, and now they are forced to play 2 sprites to counter it.
Nope!
Enabling the Auramancer to bring back the Tortex. I'm getting a bit behind on life, but notice I have Spore Frog in the graveyard, which can stop their attacks quickly. But first, I need to deal with the sprite they return to their hand, so I will keep trying to bait it and resolve my Tortex freely. For that, playing other cards is critical, and I will keep adding bodies to the field. The opponent keeps attacking and returning their value creatures to their hand, making my spells harder to cast with each iteration it passes. I return the Brownscale to my hand to regain some life and play the imp for chump blocking duties. Again, my opponent attacked and put another ninja into play, returning Agor of Bolas, which luckily didn't find any spell. I'm now at 4, but with the imp activation I notice I milled the Prismatic Strength from the graveyard. I feel free to attack and force my opponent to play the sprite as a chump blocker. They did not do this, however, and now they are trying to raise me as they have more bodies on the field. But this line did not take into account the strands, and as such, they got a big surprise when they attacked. I added the second strands for the game number 2 as their primary removal form is via damage spells. I also added a second Creep Rats as a pseudo board wipe. If you want to know about an incredible interaction between Creep Rats and Basilisk Gates, check out the above video. My hand is passive, and I worry that even if I resolve a creature, it's just a matter of them having spot removal, followed by a ninja hit to put me far behind in the game. Sadly, that's exactly what happened, and on top of that, I made the mistake of naming white instead of black on my minor gate. This is a big deal as now I only have one Tortex activation, can't play multiple black cards, and can't play Creep Rats and wipe the board on the same turn. Meanwhile, my opponent will deny my plans, and even if I resolve anything at this point, it is probably too late, so we move forward to the game number 3. This hand is excellent, so I decided to keep it, and even though our opponents started with a turn 1 Relic of Progenitus, we could fill the board quicker than they could get it exiled. Satyr and Prowler are amazing creatures that can pseudo-tutor for our gate, and can also jump to attack against smaller creatures like in this scenario. Relic is annoying, and for this reason I decided to cast Gurmag Angler, and since they did not have any answer for it, it was just a matter of turns before they conceded. Match number 2 is against Mono White Heroic, a reasonably decent one, and our MVPs here are going to be Spore Frog and once again Prismatic Strands. Steve was huge as it prevented the life gain and ramped us ahead in the game. With this, I can develop my board, and I've used the Sky Fisher Abundant Growth interaction and opponent attacks but doesn't develop their board anymore. At the same time, we continue to farm resources with our Valley creatures and set up future Tortex plays. And at 16 life, I cannot take at least a couple of hits. Since my opponent plans are pumping the cat even further, I decided to bring back Steve to continue stalling the ground. With strands in hand now, I am more confident in attacking and forcing my opponent to spend resources to not fall short on life. Steve, with his ninja abilities, fogs the attack, and now it's our turn to make a massive swing with our Sky Fisher. As predicted, the opponents spend their turn not dying, and our opponents now turn to apply pressure. Opponent attacks, and now I cast Prismatic Strands to prevent them from gaining life and force them to block my flyer on my next turn. But since I had Journey to Nowhere, I decided to test my luck first before making any attacks. Since they protected it, now I can't attack. I will pass the turn, and the opponent passes as well. Since I mill a Sky Fisher with the Satyr, I plan to bring it back to bounce my Journey and recast it to attempt to get rid again of a creature. This succeeded, the opponent conceded and didn't come back for a second match. Alright, our third match is going to be against Caw Gate, and I don't want to mulligan to 5 because that will be very rough, so I will just pray and draw a land, and that worked very well because now I can play another Cedar Wayfinder and tutor for another land. I will take my Basilisk Gate, but my opponent decided to board wipe right now. Despite this, I will just play my Kitchen Imp and start attacking for 2. My opponent is not developing the board, but they decided to get rid of my only creature. I'll play another Satyr Wayfinder, win with the gods, and then pass the turn. And then opponent is probably going to play another removal, and so they don't want to get hit by the Basilisk Gates. I try and play a Dawnbringer Clear, but that met a counterspell. Opponent needs digging, and I think that they just found another answer for it. So right now it's time to bring back the Golgari Brownskull and see if they can deal with it again. Guardian of the Guildpack actually it's threatening a lot of damage because they can block my attack for now and then pass to attack next turn. It's getting rough, so I will just take 9 damage, and they found a Squadron Hack refilling their hand. Luckily I have a Prismatic Strand and just top deck a Torture Existence. They top deck however a second Basilisk Gate and they proceeded to attack. And since I have Prismatic Strands on hand, the damage got prevented, and now it's the third time Strand has been MVP throughout the matches. I will now untap, bring back my Dawnbringer Credit. It's pretty much over because they don't have any more blockers. So now we go to game number 2. Game number 2, I bring in a couple of more of Dawnbringer Credits, as well as 1 Masked Vandal, 1 Spore Frog, and last but not least, a couple of standard bearers. You can decide to whether or not you want the second Cribrat, but I think it's fine to also add it. Opponent is just starting with the Squadron Hack and not doing much to be honest. And since we got Torture Existence online, I will just play my Cedar Wayfinder and a Grumar Angler who met a Journey to Nowhere. I will just continue sending the Golgari Brownskull so I can get access to my toolbox. And since I have a core Sky Fisher, I return the Satyr Wayfinder to send more things to the graveyard. Opponent spotted a standard bearer from my graveyard and a Prismatic Strands on it and decided to concede. Our last match is going to be against 4 Color Initiative, and these matches can be very polarizing depending on the start. For now, my hand is good, but I can't really block a trampling guy, so I will just take 3 damage, and they are already on turn 4 and an initiative. Something that I can try and raise because of my flyers, but at the same time, because of the thief has trample, I can't really block it very well. For now, I will just play both Satyr Wayfinder and the Prowler and end my turn. Opponent starts with an enchantment and they played a Soul of Migration, who then they will later just cast Ephemerate on, and this is a very hard situation for me because now I can't really get through because none of my creatures have evasion for what they have. So let's go into the game number 2, and this is why I say these matches can be very polarizing, because they just play enchantment, I get rid of the enchantment and then do that a second time, and then we now proceed to a game number 3 because I denied them from mana. Game number 3, this is a rough hand. However, they just start with a turn 1 Relic of Progenitus, so I just have to proceed and go the Vidran route by taking the Basilisk Gate. They decided to exile my graveyard because of the cards they were in it, so I will just proceed to play the Core Sky Fissure and get back up Abundant Growth to draw more cards. Attack for 1 and then pass the turn. My biggest concern right now is that they can just play Initiative Guide, but apparently they don't have it. So I will just continue rebuilding my board and then adding things to it. So it's going to be harder even if they do resolve an initiative, which they are not currently doing, but they do cast a Soul of Migration. I want to trade for the Jewel Thief because I have a Torture existence which can get back at some point. I will exile the Soul of Migration and then start attacking. Opponent do have the initiative, but now we just top deck one of our best cards, the Spore Frog. So I'll just proceed attack before revealing the Spore Frog and keep adding things to the board. The plan is to steal the initiative at some point, but even if that doesn't happen, I think we're in a very good spot where we can win even without the initiative. I'll just keep pumping my Sacred Cat attack. They are forced to block, and then even if my cat dies, it comes back as its embalmed form. I'll just play Spore Frog, and opponent hasn't realized yet, but I think they are dead because I can just keep following every attack. But since I haven't revealed the Torture existence, I think it's fair for them to not consider. They will just attack and I will just take some damage because I have so much life and I'm gonna get more life right now. I play the Prowler in hopes to get another gate, which I did, and this way my Sacred Cat it's an 8/8. They decide to chump block, and at some point I'm planning to have more creatures in the board than they do have blockers, so I can take initiative. They consider because they can't really get past through a Spore Frog.
Now, if you're new to Pauper and want to test other cool decks, click into that playlist. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.